The International Court of Justice is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. The seat of the court is at the Peace Palace in The Hague, the Netherlands. Of the 6 main organs of the United Nations, it is the only one not located in New York. Established in June 1945 by the Charter of the United Nations, the court began work in April 1946. The court's role is to settle, in accordance with international law, legal disputes submitted to it by states, known as contentious proceedings, and to give advisory opinions on legal questions referred to it by authorized United Nations organs and specialized agencies, known as advisory proceedings. The predecessor of the ICJ, the Permanent Court of International Justice, which was established in 1920 and dissolved with the adoption of the United Nations Charter in 1945, also had its seat at the Peace Palace in The Hague. The palace has thus housed the ICJ and the Permanent Court of International Justice for nearly 100 years.
Sadly, there is corruption amongst some judiciaries in some countries in the world.
1 of 10 complaints of breach of duty of judges or prosecutors relates to the unethical behavior.
We have a serious problem with the independence, and after that, the corruption.
In terms of ethics and conduct, this is a major thing nowadays globally for all of the judges around the world, which is why we're advocating for more training of judicial officers.
Judges and prosecutors are not fully aware of their ethical responsibility.
Subtract integrity and everything collapses as far as the positives in the judiciary are concerned.
We are the ones who uphold the rule of law. And if we don't have that integrity, if we don't have that independence, then nobody looks to us to save them at a time when their principles, their rights are being trampled on.
Los magistrados, los jueces, somos seres humanos y ciudadanos como el resto, vivimos en un ámbito y sufrimos los mismos inconvenientes que el resto de la sociedad.
One of the major new challenges is social media.
Issues change. Integrity issues also change.
Sextortion, where a judge might make a lenient sentence in return for sexual favors.
Years back, gender issues may not even be discussed when it comes to integrity, but now gender issues have become issues of integrity too.
You see that this is actually something that might offend the Bangalore principles, so you now have to look inward and look at everything from your private life and not just your public life as a judicial officer.
Many judges have to go outside their country and to see what other countries do.
The Global Judicial Integrity Network is a network of judges, for judges, and driven by judges.
With this network, it's peer helping peer. Leverage these tools to improve on your understanding of the issues of integrity and also on how to cope.
We consulted around 4,000 judges and justice sector stakeholders to identify the priority areas in judicial integrity, the needs for assistance, and the needs for peer learning and support. And that is how we established the network.
When it comes to judges and judiciaries, honestly, they speak the same language.
Part of the reason for us developing through such a powerful organization as the UNODC training materials is to really raise the profile of the importance of judicial training.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, history is more than the path left by the past. It influences the present and can shape the future. We meet today in Westminster Hall, a building begun 900 years ago, when the Vikings were visiting the shores of what would become the United States, even if it was Columbus who would subsequently demonstrate the politician's art of arriving late but claiming all the credit. This hall has witnessed grim trials and the sentencing to death of a king, coronation banquets, ceremonial addresses, and the coffins of those receiving the last respects of our people. Few places reach so far into the heart of our nation. Yet, until today, no American president has stood on these steps to address our country's parliament. Abraham Lincoln once observed that nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
Centuries ago, when kings, emperors, and warlords reigned over much of the world, it was the English who first spelled out the rights and liberties of man in the Magna Carta. It was here, in this very hall, where the rule of law first developed, courts were established, disputes were settled, and citizens came to petition their leaders. Over time, the people of this nation waged a long and sometimes bloody struggle to expand and secure their freedom from the crown. And propelled by the ideals of the Enlightenment, they would ultimately forge an English Bill of Rights and invest the power to govern in an elected parliament that's gathered here today. As Winston Churchill said, the Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights, habeas corpus, trial by jury, and English common law find their most famous expression in the American Declaration of Independence.